A man getting bit by an alligator and he screams.
Okay, quiet. Hey, quiet.
Shoot out towards me.
Ow! No, not an owl. A real scream of pain.
All right, welcome back, Screamers. And no, seriously, it's been a while since we've sat down for a traditional episode. So, welcome back. on today's...
We've been doing shit. And we've had a lot of things. You've been fulfilled, I would say. I mean, not you, but you, the listener.
No,
we've been giving you things to listen to if you've been listening to them. I don't know. It's not the same. I mean, it's not exactly the same, but we've been talking to people and had to get that shit out there.
We've had this entire interview series that I have to imagine was entertaining on more than one level. I didn't go back and listen to them because why would I do that? But I imagine you had fun with them, right? But anyway, sorry, I keep talking over you. I'm just going to do it.
It's been a minute. We're going to
been a minute.
We're going to fumble around a little bit, right?
We'll find the rhythm, right? Like two old lovers,
right,
encountering
coming
each other
together again
late night at a bar. You just fall back into these things,
right.
But
Take a minute.
On today's recurring theme of 3 movies you'll never hear talked about together again, we're looking at Danny Boyle's Zombie Return, 28 years later, the Cole Hauser vehicle, Good Will Hunting, this in our Dangerous Banger category, and the continuation of our Amanda Kramer series with Please, Baby, Please. But do we want to throw in a fourth film today, Jason?
Yeah, why not? Let's do it. Let's talk about the legacy-quel of Legacy-quel.
Legacy-quel.
I'm pretty sure we didn't coin that, but that's pretty good, though, right? I've never heard it said out loud, but I like Legacy-quel.
Instead of legacy sequel. See what we did there? Right. We kind of did this portmanteau thing. Yeah.
Less words, less letters.
But yet we still keep talking and just make it longer. So.
Of I Know What You Did Last Summer.
So good.
Look, I Know What You Did Last Summer comes out it's a Kevin Williamson script. This is back in 97, of course. It comes out 10 months after Scream. And which would have been it had to have been Kevin Williamson's a hot property at this point, obviously with Scream being sold and shopped around and Craven taking it over, and then the buzz coming. I don't know how quickly they did I Know What You Did Last Summer. But as far as but it's always been B tier. It's always been JV horror anyway, right? And it's
been JV Scream, right? I mean, that's it was like a Scream also ran.
Right. With it was with still relative unknowns. I guess Jennifer Love Hewitt would have been, and maybe Brian Philippe. What did Brian Philippe do before? I mean, I know he did the soap opera, and Jennifer Love Hewitt would have been Party of Five.
But
I don't think they. But they hadn't been in many movies, if any, at that time. I think all of those guys were kind of circling around stuff, right? But I mean, for the most part, they were all, and they probably all would have auditioned for Scream at some point, right?
Right. I mean, Sarah Michelle Gellar would have been, but was Buffy around at that point? Buffy was around at that point, wasn't it?
In 97? I don't know. It would have been.
I thought so.
Maybe it would have. It's possible. And then she would have been the biggest thing going at that time.
Right. Well, Ryan Philippe was in White Squall. That's right.
Okay. But but it's not a huge part in White Squall, though. That was a Scott Wolf, Jeff Bridges vehicle, right? I mean,
and Jeremy Sisto.
Right. Not that may be a dangerous banger at some point too. Like it's an interesting movie.
It really is. Yeah. But and like,
God
what was Freddie Prinze Jr. in at that point?
I don't recall
'Cause,
what he
yeah,
had been.
there wasn't like a ton of stuff. Like you're right.
Why
So
don't just
these are all
IMDb up.
these are all up and comers in a different way, right?
Right. But my point being is that this was never gonna be Scream. I mean, just because it came out afterwards anyway. But like, it was never seen as all is that great. Obviously, there weren't that many sequels to it. There was just the one, I still know, and then the direct-to-video sequel, which kind of jettisoned everybody. Right? I think it was. I never saw that one, to be quite honest.
I didn't either. It's kind of like the 28 weeks later of this podcast.
Right. Yes.
It doesn't really exist.
So he had been in the House of. Well, he has the House of Yes.
House of Yes,
the same
and
year.
To Jillian.
And they did to Jillian on the 37th the year before, and then he did this like after he had done. I mean, he was nothing really. 96 was like his breakout year. He did a family episode of Family Matters, an after school special where he played Jeff in one episode, and then something called The Watcher, which I have no idea what that is. Just on a TV series. So he was relatively new. And let's see what Philippi had done at this point.
Just the Crimson Tide. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay.
But again, like nothing major at all.
Right.
And then
and H would have been like the biggest like pull of all of those, right?
Right. Well, right. And I mean that's kind of why like her role, right, as much of a kind of cameo or as small as it is, was, the surprising one. When she pops up, you're like, oh yeah, it's her. And I guess Sarah Michelle Gellar, I guess Buffy started in like 96, 97. So it would have been right around the same time. However those things work. So really, I mean, this was a Jennifer Love Hewitt vehicle.
Right.
I mean, as much as, just like White Squall was the Scott Wolf vehicle.
And I guess, out of all of the things that followed up after Scream, this is probably, it wasn't great, but it was probably the best one out of all of them, right? I mean, like, I guess. Maybe you could argue Urban Legend, but I mean, like, by the time Urban Legend comes around, it's that whole meta horror stuff. One, because you've already gotten Scream 2 at that point.
Right.
The Scream had kind of firmly set itself in place as the.
What Urban Legend gave us was Alicia Witt. More Alicia Witt.
And then she promptly went away forever.
I know her. Yeah, I mean, and Rebecca Gayheart came back to do like the sequel for Urban Legend. Yes.
I feel bad about that. I don't know if she was she at fault at that? I don't really recall.
I don't know. I mean, was Matthew Broderick?
Well, so Matthew Broderick's one.
I mean, I know
was because he was in Ireland and he was driving on the wrong side of the road. So that was a little bit different. Matthew Broderick wasn't intoxicated. He just.
I was being facetious. I mean,
Amy Locane was the one that was probably the worst one of all. Like she was legit like impaired. Another like no one knows who that is at this point, but
right.
But she was a big thing for a very brief minute, and she was if you don't know who Amy Locane is, she was the love interest in School Ties. I believe I'm getting that correctly. If I'm not, then people are yelling at me like that's not who that was. But I'm pretty sure that's who that
act
was.
Like people don't yell at us just regularly, on a regular basis. But I think to your point, I know what you did last summer was kind of the best of the imitators. Mm-hmm. Right. And I think that
the best
one
acting,
thing that definitely. And I think one thing though that this film did to its kind of credit and smartly was that it didn't try to follow up the meta stuff. I mean, this was more or less a traditional kind of like teen slasher film.
Right.
I mean, it didn't try to play. I mean, it tried to play on the popularity of Scream because, oh, look, a new teen slasher film. But it didn't try to do the same thing and like make the kind of meta connections and references, etc.
Yeah, I think, I think what it has going against it is that the killer is clearly not as it's as slashers go, The Fisherman is probably the worst, like, of them all. I mean, it really is kind of a lame. It's a lame horror movie trope. I mean, not a trope, but a lame horror movie icon. And like, so no one dresses as the
Gorton's fisherman,
right? As the fish guy. And like, I mean, I guess the Hook has such a limited killing opportunity. I liked what they did in the Lega the Lega sequel. It's actually hard to say. But anyway, we talked enough. Everyone knows I Know What You Did Last Summer, right? I mean,
right.
Yeah. So we follow up with another set of kids. This city has a terrible track record with cars going over the edge and people getting killed on that dead man's curve.
Yeah, you would think they would do something about that.
But that's
like poor city planning.
Right. At the very least, like, make that the barrier a little bit stronger than what it is right now. And also maybe just slow down the speed limit on that road, and also like encourage people not to stop on the side of the road where there's clearly no shoulder to stop.
But this is also part of, I think, the themes that run through this film of sort of entitlement and privilege too, right? I mean, these kids, even the girl who's
let's slow down a little bit though.
Oh, sorry.
That's not I mean, I like what you're doing, but let's not give this film too much credit. Themes was not necessarily what's going through.
But of course, you have to remember that we bring this stuff with us when we watch films, right? So we are finding stuff there that's not actually there. That's part of the fun of going to movies.
Yes, agreed.
Is in a way what, being smarter than the film? No, I'm kidding.
So you were saying white privilege
yes. I was going to say, like, these kids who just stop in the middle of the road because, we just can. This is where we go. This is our spot, even though it's clearly dangerous, right? And the one kid who really causes the accident is just standing in the middle of the road, and playing chicken essentially with traffic. Again, because he's kind of like, well, he's the son of the town sire, I guess, at this point, right? Billy Campbell comes in and he's like, I'm going to develop everything because I'm Billy Campbell, and I'm going to sort of like run roughshod and rule the roost in this place. And so this guy's just like, I can just do whatever I want because he's my dad.
He's an exciting character, by the way. Just
Billy Campbell?
No, Teddy. He's got a lot going on. Tyreek Withers is he's top notch. Look for him in the Alicia Witt zone in your local video store.
But he's going to be but he's in, because you just said him. He's in that new Jordan Peele produced Him film coming.
That's right.
He's the lead in that. So that'll be interesting, I think, to see how he is in that film as opposed to how he is in this film.
True. Well, we'll see.
Maybe he's our next Vin Diesel.
Maybe. Speaking of which, sorry for the additional tangent, but we've talked about this and not on mic, and I want to talk about it on mic. But Vin Diesel came out recently because I guess they still haven't even started Fast X2, right? So, which is like bonkers to me. That's never going to get done, right? That's going to be one of the great, like, lost films that's just never going to get done. But anyway, he's out in front of this crowd.
What happened to Vin? Or Dom, sorry.
Right. And he was like, there's three things that I told the producers or whoever makes these movies, that had to happen so we can make FX2, Fast X2. One was we bring it back to LA. So coming down from space and bringing it back to LA. And then I know space wasn't in the last one, but, and then we've got to make it about the car culture again. And then we've got to bring back Brian. The last one was which I think the first two are hard enough, but like bring back Brian. I don't know if medical science has advanced that far.
Right. Are we there yet?
Paul Walker.
Right. I mean, look, and I think we would all like to bring back Paul Walker. I think, regardless of how we feel about his acting ability, right? He was taken from us too soon. but I don't think this is a real thing
There were
that
so
can
many teenage girls for him to date.
actually happen. Right. I mean, it's a tragedy.
But he never got to date.
Right. Do you think Paul Walker was in the Epstein files? Or
He
is
probably was a
in the
little too
Epstein
young
files?
to be in the Epstein files. He's probably a little too young. Marcy obviously thinks he was in there.
I know that's I apologize, listeners. That's my dog. She barks at a lot of things, and she's a good girl. She's a good girl. So,
but I mean, if anybody can bring back Brian, I mean, I think it's going to be Vin Diesel for sure.
Yeah. Do you think it'll be? Do you think Vin Diesel himself will do it, or do you think Vin Diesel channeling Dominic Toretto will bring back Brian? Do you think he just goes out and like cosplays Dominic Toretto like around Los Angeles and stuff?
I don't think so, because if you saw him in the video, and this is no shade to anybody and not body shaming at all, but he does not, I mean, like the Dom physique is not the Dom physique. And of course, why would it be? Like it takes a lot of work to have Dom physique. So I'm not shaming, 100% not shaming. No. Let Vin Diesel live a happy life. And that he deserves it.
And then he'll go back and get in Dom shape, like when it's time for the movie. Yeah.
Right. He'll get in shape. But I don't think that he goes off and cosplays as Dom all that often. That guy's had a really, like, that guy does nothing else. I mean, like, it's weird because, like, at one point I feel like he wanted other franchises to take off.
The X series,
particularly Triple X and Riddick, and then none of them got. And then he wanted, what was it? His D&D character, the Last Witch Hunter or whatever that was. Right. That none of those did well.
No. I do think the Riddick films are interesting, kind of on the face of them, but I'm not a big. I don't know.
Black.
I did too. No. That's what I mean. I did too, and I think that kind of like real like anti-hero, is really. What's her name? Who was in Pitch Black? Rada
Mitchell.
Wasn't that her? Wasn't she in? Wasn't Rada Mitchell in? Okay. Yeah. Anyway. Okay, so back to
so what were we talking about?
I know what you did. I know what you did 28 years later. Yeah.
Right. I mean, like, again, so I think this one stays firmly in the JV league of slashers. I mean, I don't think it's funny because you have all these other Scream films that have come out. And I think it kind of does less than those do. And I think this one's fine. I think this one's a lot of fun. And the reveal and the heel turn in this one, I
think it's a smart choice.
I think it's a smart choice, and I think that I think it's one of the things, like, because it will be divisive to people. But the one thing that I will say about it is that, and it's interesting because not giving these movies credit, there was area here to be, I think, Final Destination Bloodline making this movie better than the other two. Because what we talk about and if you haven't seen it, pause it, go to the theater, pause this episode of the podcast, go to the theater, watch it, and come back.
Right.
And we're back, and we're going to spoil I Know What You Did Last Summer 2025. But Freddie Prinze Jr. turns out to be the bad guy. He was married to Julie. It really, really is. Like, and Freddie Prinze, God, man, like I said, I think the guy's killing it. Like, I know when we talked about the girl in the pool, this guy looks really good.
Right.
I mean, he has that silly Jaws Quint motion. This movie is very tied to Jaws. Like, being released and it's like 50-year anniversary of Jaws, and this being the same movie, it was kind of funny because the whole, like, we're not going to close the town aspect of it all is pretty hilarious.
Didn't the director say that she was thinking of that kind of as she was making this film?
Yeah. But I will say that this idea that is just a tossed off line in the film where Julie James is this, like, therapist now, and she deals with people who have trauma, and that this idea that trauma changes the brain, I think is a really I don't necessarily, like, scientifically, I have no idea how much that is actually quote unquote true.
Well, our brains are plastic, right? And we're always carving kind of new neural pathways. So, I mean, I think that is true. Yeah, no, like, right. This is why, like, CBT therapy, like, cognitive behavioral therapy, is so kind of espoused or, so recommended, because we can then change those pathways and those ways of thinking. So why wouldn't that kind of trauma do the same thing? So yeah, we're not scientists, but I think we can sort of like logically follow those. those.
This episode is brought to you by ivermectin. So,
no, like everyone else, we should be sponsored by BetterHelp. So, like, if you're listening, BetterHelp,
the AI of medicine. So
it's teletherapy,
right? Chatbot, Grok for therapy.
Oh wow, no, that's a terrible idea. Because that thing would just tell you that you're like a weakling and you should go do some ketamine and lift weights or something.
So I think this movie had an opportunity to elevate. Final Destination Bloodline just elevated because it had a really great script and it was a lot of fun. And Marcy agrees with me. But like, I think this one could have taken it up a notch of just being like just a regular generic slasher in that sense. Because I mean, ultimately, like, what does this movie have that something like Scream doesn't have? Like, I mean, or, again, the kills aren't overly inventive. Yeah. They're not overly gore. I mean, like, adding the spear gun, I think, is a nice touch.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's just not a lot that's on screen there, right? And I mean, but I will say this: I think that this movie, like, had there not have been the original, I think this movie probably would have been able to stand on its own as a decent entry into whatever era of slashers that we exist today. It carries a lot of weight, so I think a lot of people that don't like this one were kids fans, when the first one came out. That are upset by the heel turn or not, upset by whatever. But I don't know.
Yeah, I think this is just I think it's a lot of fun. I think it's perfectly fine, right? I don't think that it did anything new or anything special. It was just, I think, like a decent middle of the road, like solid kind of new horror film, right?
Right.
I do think the director was trying to do some different things, but I feel like you're kind of limited with this franchise more than you are, say, a Scream or even a Final Destination, right?
Right.
Where you've kind of got, this is a better film than the second one. I think this is better than I Still Know What You Did Last Summer. That movie's so bad.
Right.
But so I think this is a lot better than that. Yeah, I mean, overall, I just think it's a lot of fun. I just think it's, I think the cast, except for the guy that plays Milo, I think everybody's pretty good in terms of what they're asked to do and what they're doing in this film.
Right. I don't think that there's, like I said, I don't necessarily look forward to the the inevitable sequel, although the stinger at the end is kind of fun. I mean, I think it's fun fan service, but
right.
But yeah, I mean, that's the one thing about this, right? Is that it's difficult to continue this line of to continue the Fisherman as a slasher, right?
Right.
Especially with this crew, because now they know, right? I mean, so unless there's like some like expanded, fisherman cult that exists to right the wrongs of poor people being killed in these towns, I don't necessarily know where they're going to go with this. But I think this movie like weirdly toes the line of fan service well enough. The Easter eggs are fun, but not like insulting. They don't stand out. I mean, maybe they do. I don't know. I think I was just willing to give this movie a lot of credit, or at least a lot of leeway. And like you said, it was fine and fun. And, I mean, it was what it was.
Yeah. Yeah. I thought it was just a really good popcorn movie. I mean, that was kind of it. So yeah, that was, I Know What You Did Last Summer. Go check it out. Have a good time.
Or wait.
I was going to say, it'll probably be on streaming tomorrow, the way things go. Okay.
I mean, always go to the theater, but like if you have an AMC A-list or whatever, or some sort of pass, you can go absolutely go buy a ticket for it and go sit around. There's worse things you can do.
Yes, just in general, there's worse things you can do than go to the movie.
Right.
Okay, all right. Let's get into the real meat of this episode, and let's talk about 28 years later.
Auntie, what's going on?
Jimmy, sit still, keep quiet, and do not move from the spot.
Seven, 6, 11, 5, 9 and 20 miles today, 4, 11, 17, 32 the day before. Boot, 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 moving up and down again. There's no discharge in the war. Don't look at what's in front of you. Boot, 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 moving up and down again. Men go mad with watching them. There's no discharge in the war. If your eyes drop, they will get the top of you. Boot, 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 moving up and down again. There's no discharge in the war. Think of something different. Oh, my God, me from going lunatic. Moving up and down again. There's no discharge in the war. 7, 6, 11, 5, 4, 17, 32 the day before.
That's not how the numbers go.
I know.
Not the right order at all.
Like, I wonder what kind of education that these people are getting on this small island. A group of survivors of the rage virus live on a small island. When one of the group leaves the island on a mission into the mainland, he discovers secrets, wonders, and horrors that have mutated not only the infected, but other survivors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. That's
that
pretty
was
accurate.
That was good. That was good. I think it's disappointing that they didn't use the Kipling poem in the movie, but just the trailer.
Yeah.
Yeah, the whole like counting boots thing.
Right.
Yeah, I guess they did that just for the trailer. And then never. Anyway. So initial thoughts on this film?
Well, so how do you I guess let's talk quickly about the other two before we dive into this one, because it's been a while, right? So,
well, I do think that one thing that this film does, though, is it just basically acts like 28 Weeks Later does not exist.
Right. And
which I think is smart.
Right. I do too, because 28 Weeks Later is a mess of a movie. It's not very good. I mean, it's not. It is built around set pieces and nothing really else, right? I mean, like, and the idea of I don't know. I would love to know, like, the genesis of all of this entire franchise, and like, what was the original intent? Was the intent to have, like, always have someone else write the other ones? I mean, because like you said, like Garland and Boyle, it's like there's no idea of like people who are immune. There's no, the fact that we were able to contain it and then not able to contain it, that's never brought up. The idea of like the American military assisting, London to keep it on the island. So like, yeah, it's really, I mean, I don't know, like it's just a mess of a movie. I think the first one's brilliant. I think it's probably like the closest, really, I guess, the best zombie movie that we got post Romero. I mean, and it's basically saying the same thing that Romero's did, just in a different, I mean, obviously faster zombies, but I thought it was really, and it was doing interesting things with with digital video and how it was shot and pieced together. So I really like 28 Days later, not the Sandra Bullock film. But 28 Weeks has always been kind of it's just been a weird thing. And I think things like I had watched it recently in preparation for this, and the only thing I really ever remembered was the helicopter scene, which is a cool scene, but I mean, like ultimately kind of just empty.
So yeah, initial thoughts on this, Jason.
I mean, I think as a standalone zombie film, I think I liked it quite a bit. I don't look. I don't think they did themselves any favors with hiding the fact that this is the beginning of a new trilogy. And I don't say hiding is really the right words, but not advertising that this is part of a new series of films. And the second one's already in the can, and that the third one's dependent on how the first one does, so they can start filming it. Because again, I think it's weird to go into something, and I know we've seen this recently with these films that have been broken up over at least two parts. I think it's weird to go in and kind of allow people to sit through an entire film and then end on a truly bizarre cliffhanger, which I think again is, going to be off-putting to some. And although I really dug it, but and then to have to wait, another year or so, I think it's almost to the point like where I would have rather have seen this be, an extended series rather than a film. I don't know what cinematically, because you're filming it digitally anyway. Like, I don't know what cinematically you're really like, how you're adding to the story. I like to see things on the big screen, of course, but I don't necessarily know that this would have been better served not on HBO or with a one-off, 8 episode or 10 episode, whatever it might need to be, long journey, what you said, a long story that way. Because once we get done with it all, it's going to be 6 to 7 hours of film. I just think it's a weird thing to go in. And like I said, I would say probably 80 to 90% of your audience does not know that this is a trilogy that's going to be happening. And so to sit through an entire film and to not have things explained, because I think a lot of it too is that people probably went back because now 28 Days and 28 Weeks are available on streaming services. I think a lot of people probably went back and watched those films. There's a lot that's left untold in this film. And you kind of just have to take it at face value. I think standalone, it's great. I think tied to the other two, it's a really interesting play to say, all right, well, here we are. We've mutated. And now there are these, enhanced zombies, and zombies are bathing and having sex. And there's some that are worm zombies that live on the floor and only eat worms, and they're really heavy set. And so while I liked it quite a bit, I just felt like it was. I just felt like it was a really weird, really weird play to have that be your, that be how it all plays out.
Yeah, I don't know why they hid the trilogy aspect of it. Because Bone Temple, right, is coming out, fairly soon, isn't it? Wait, next year?
It's next year, but it'll probably be early next year, my guess is.
Yeah, and that's going to be directed by it was directed by Nia DaCosta.
Right. Which is another thing. Why don't you play that up then too? Because she's coming off Candyman. It's like she's not nobody. Right. She's an exciting director, and I don't it's just, you have a plan for all of these. Announce the plan. We're all used to, again, I'm not saying we have to have a 28, days cinematic universe, but there's people aren't going to not see this movie because it's a trilogy or there's 3 parts to this story.
Yeah. I think they're going to go see it regardless, right? I think zombies still sell, weirdly.
Right.
I mean, how long have we done that? But yeah.
And it makes me wonder then, like, if you had have done that, then is the ending of this film different? Do you tease the second one the way that you do in this one if people go into this knowing there's a trilogy, right?
Right. Yeah, I mean, yeah. How would this have ended if it wasn't part of a trilogy? I mean, I guess that's something to think about too. But well, I
mean, you have a perfect ending, right? You have a perfect ending with the kid. I forget his name.
Spike.
Yeah, you have this perfect ending where Spike's, again, if you haven't seen it, stop the podcast, go watch it. And we're back. All right, Now we're going to spoil 28 years later. Where Spike is basically kind of telling his dad, don't come look for me. I'm going to go do shit on my own. I'm going to go and brave the world by myself. You've betrayed me. You've betrayed our family. I need to find out who I am, not under the shadow and the auspices of like how you raised me, because the things you told me were fucked, right? I mean, like, and the things that where I was being, that were being kept from me. It's just it's obviously the perfect metaphor for any young person who realizes that the world that they have been brought up in is small and smaller than the actual world that exists, and he's going to go and he realizes he can live on his own, and he's going to. So that's the end, right? That's the end of the movie. As you have his mom dies, and he's willing to not go back to his father. His father finds out, and then you think the next one is going to be, maybe his father going after him, or you don't know what the next one's going to be.
Yeah. I mean, that's
not that I'm in love with like post-credit stingers, post-credit stuff, but like you could have then included that, the Jimmy Savile stuff as a post-credit.
So can we talk about that? Because I I think that ending is really funny. I mean, because
it's great.
It's great. Like the Jimmies pop up, right, and take over the fighting. But of course, and then oh shit, what's his name? The guy from Sinners. So this guy's putting together like a couple like real banger roles, isn't he? He just comes in, right. Jack O'Connell, right? He just comes in and like kills it, and then he's gone, right? But he shows up as the leader of the Jimmies, and he's dressed like Jimmy Savile, but they're also all dressed like Teletubbies, which I think is great, right? It's just because that's the last thing that these kids, right, would have seen or would have known, right? Like from their childhood. I mean, we even open with that scene of that kid watching the Teletubbies as everyone else gets slaughtered in front of him. And so like that kind of like, again, trauma response just sort of like then sears into his brain. And that's who like these people are, right? They're Teletubbies. And then he is like the Jimmy Savile, which this is something else about this film. It's very, very British, right? Because how many people know anything about Jimmy Savile or had to go like look up, right? Like what this was all about at the end.
Yeah, and it's not an obvious. I mean, like, I would imagine if you were in Britain, it's a pretty obvious connection. But like, yeah, I would imagine again the same people that didn't know this was a trilogy, the same percentage didn't know that was Jimmy Savile, right? I mean, or that that was someone who was a British pop culture icon who basically they're Bill Cosby essentially, right? I mean, like to a certain extent. Well,
it's kind of like maybe it's kind of like if Dick Clark were a pedophile,
right? Yeah,
or like a Johnny Carson. I mean, because he was more of like that kind of figure, right? He was more of a. Didn't he host Desert Island Discs and other stuff like that, right? Yeah. So yeah, I really enjoyed the ending, but I mean. The other British stuff. I mean, this film presents England as completely isolated and cut off, like in a very obvious nod to Brexit, right? Where the rest of Europe, the rest of the world is just like, yeah, you don't exist anymore. Like you exist as a dead place, right? Where none of us are going to go and no one's going to help you. This is it, right? You're done, right? And then you've got this other island within the island where these people have carved out another way of life and almost like a folk horror aspect of the film too, which I think is interesting. Can we can we talk a little bit about, I don't know, the idea of masculinity in this film, or the subversive idea of masculinity in this film? I mean, that's something that I think is, I don't really know, well, obviously, because I'm not him, but like what Garland and Boyle were kind of going for with this, because I think that both of these filmmakers have, have, at least in the past or in other movies, really put women kind of front and center. Even like 28 Days Later, right? We have Naomi Campbell as a very kind of, strong female presence in the film. And here we have a lot of Jodie Comer, but this is really kind of about, a father taking a boy out into the wilderness to become a man, right? We're going to kill some zombies, son, and this is how you become like a man. And I think it's an interesting idea that's put forth, kind of also in how we view masculinity now, with all this like kind of toxic bullshit that's like all around us.
Yeah, I think that's, as much as I enjoyed this film, it's difficult to piece everything apart, because like it almost seems like everything is too on the nose, right? Where you've got your like fat zombies who are crawling in the muck, and like they're slow and they're slovenly, and they're still dangerous, but they're just bottom feeders. And then we've got these uber males that have been emboldened by the rage virus, and are now leading these tribes of mindless
right.
Basically cults that are just going around trying to eat the brains of, again, I know we're not talking about brains in this case, but like trying to bite and infect. So yeah, it almost seems like the metaphor is like too clear, and like I don't even, and so that's another thing that I think is like really like, this movie's fucking bizarre. Like the whole
really
idea
is.
of like the baby, the baby of the infected not being infected. This, and again, so it's all on the fucking nose, right? It's all it's so like.
Are you saying that children are the future?
I'm just like, and again, I think this is why this needed to be a series, because I think otherwise it becomes almost, and as much as I like this movie, it becomes almost too heavy-handed.
Yeah.
And it's like these guys have been separated from this property for so long, and that we've utilized zombies in a way to like, especially Romero. I mean, obviously, Romero, that was his, without saying the obvious, that was his bread and butter, and it was his basically like clear. He was trying to work some stuff out, right, with like society, and like here's how everything works, and I'm just going to tell you via the use of zombies.
Zombies are racist.
But yeah, this feels like we've got some sort of Rogan-esque zombie that's just running around
with a big
and
dick,
like, and with a gigantic cock, and just like, and he's angry that his baby is being taken, and now we've got to figure out what to do with the we've got to either infect the we got to teach the baby racism and separation and fascism first, right?
I was very kind of relieved to find out that that man's penis was a prosthetic.
Yeah, it has to be, right? Because I guess because he's filming near
how
children.
Do you walk? I mean, just like anyway,
let alone run, right?
Oh, yeah.
So aside from all of like the this barely a metaphor that's, I feel like we're going to be talking about this, and like people are going to go like they didn't like this movie, but like but I think it was a good time. It really is, like, because those two are such talented filmmakers that it's very difficult, I think, for them to like walk away and make an unenjoyable film, right? But I'm worried about the next two. I'm worried that this is going to turn into some sort of really, really heavy-handed morality play, that swings wildly leftist, and like even though that aligns, typically with my personal outlook, right, that is just like, all right, is this what we're saying, that like that almost like England has brought this upon themselves? I mean, because that, if you look at the first one, that's right, that's exactly what it was, right? I mean, like, again, that's not what the first film was saying. in essence. I mean, like the first film pretty much is a beat by beat, remake of Night of the Living Dead, right? I mean, it's aside from you know how the rage virus existed. Other than that, it's just we meet up with people who are friendlies. The world's been decimated, and but humans are still pieces of shit, right? I mean, at the end of the day, when it comes down to our base functions, we're still going to be shitty to one another.
Yeah. Well, I mean, which is not wrong.
No. I'm not saying it's wrong at all. I'm just saying,
right.
But for this one, it takes such. It asks a lot of its audience, and then because it just kind of throws you into this world that has to know that that people that are watching this is a continuation of at least 28 days, not later. I mean, it's not its standalone. There's still rage viruses. We're still 28, and so this idea that Britain has put Britain first, and this idea that once you leave these walls and you start looking at the outside world, that it's going to corrupt you, and we're not going to come looking for you. That's all going to be on you. I just feel like, man, this is like, it just feels like, oh, okay. I mean, I get what you're saying, and it's still a fun movie, but like, you got to. I'm worried about the turn into the skid here. Like, it's very easily to go off the cliff, and especially because like,
I like how you connected the two movies.
Yeah, I know, right?
So
if they need to put it, they need to change, put up a speed limit sign and not let people park on the shoulders, because your zombie movie is going to get out of control.
Or use your white privilege to stand in the middle of the street.
But I think like there's a lot of, aside, I think Spike's journey is a really interesting one. I mean, you're talking about masculinity and talking about like, if you take it kind of to a smoke signals level of like, what do we forgive our fathers for? And like, and like, I think Aaron Taylor Johnson's really good in this. I think Jodie Comer's good. Although, I think that she could have been given more to do.
Right. She's always good.
Yeah. And I like that they didn't like chicken out on her, or like it was some sort of like thing. I do see they're playing the long game with this story. I don't love the fact that Cillian Murphy's coming back. I don't think that that's necessary. I don't think he needs to be seen as some like why do we care where he's at these days?
This is that idea of fan service, isn't it?
Right.
I mean, like, go back to I know what you did last summer, right? If we only listened to fans, like that never would have happened. But I mean, and again, go further back into some of the nonsense with Star Wars, right? We have to do these things, right? We have to do these things because the fans demand it, or right? I mean, look, we're all, like you said, we're all assholes, and we're all going to scream, we're all going to yell, and be racist and fascist until we get what we want, which is Cillian Murphy and the 28 Days Later franchise. No, I'm in all seriousness, I agree with you. I don't know why we need to come back and like hit these benchmarks and say, well, we have to do this because that's what you got to give the people what they want. But I mean, nobody really wants that, because it's not like, at what point now you're taking away from like whatever news story you're working on, right? So as soon as you introduce that character, now it pivots from, if it is Spike's story next, or if we do something different next, now, right, then what was the point of all those other things? Right? Why are we now detracting from something that we already set up or have already kind of been working on?
Right. And you would imagine that zombies in this 28 years have all taken their clothes off, right? So like, because their clothes didn't all just disintegrate. So like, there must be something about the rage virus that makes you also want to get naked, because otherwise. Yeah.
I mean, have you never like been under the influence of certain substances and like started to like fight someone? That's what you do, right? You take off your shirt and sometimes your pants. And
do we think that this is going to be like, are they going to delve into the why into all of this, do you think, or is this just going to sit as a metaphor for, are they going to explain the evolutionary tracks of our rage zombies? I mean,
I'm interested. See, that's an interesting aspect of the film, right? Is how, so this was, did you watch The Walking Dead?
Yeah, for a while. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I watched I didn't make it through the entire first season, but one of the things that I thought was interesting was how you started to see in some of these episodes that the zombies started to use tools. I mean, like cavemen, right? Oh, I can use this rock to smash a window, right? I can use this thing to do that. And then, of course, that just like disappears and it never goes anywhere in that series. But I hope that they do something with that, right, as they continue. Because, yeah, I'm curious of like how this works, right? I mean, is this rage virus kind of essentially setting up a new species, right? Like a new kind of human or whatever that would be.
Again, but with the metaphor, it's kind of fucking weird, like how they're going to do that, right? This idea that like, because again, you're painting this group of people as subhuman, regardless of what you think of them or think of their, their thought processes or political thoughts, whatever. And this idea that if we're not careful and we don't contain this, and maybe I'm just reading into this, maybe, but that eventually they will learn to use tools and learn to have sex and procreate, and that they'll have to teach their rage babies racism. Like, it's, and it feels like that's already been done too. I mean, like, this is not a I Am Legend type situation where we're the real monsters. Or if it is, that's going to be a really fucked message. And that's going to be a really interesting one to see how they pull that off. I mean, I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt, but I do think that this is a very, very tall tightrope that they're walking here. And I think I'm just going to be interested to see how well they can pull it off. And I trust Boyle and team, but we'll see. I don't know.
Team Danny.
But yeah, I mean, like I said, ultimately as a standalone film, I thought that it played well. I think, I mean, again, it's not anything necessarily overly new. I liked the interaction between Aaron Taylor Johnson and Spike. I think the kid is fucking amazing. I think that kid's great. And I mean, I think the Ray Fiennes stuff was fine. I think the stuff with Jodie Comer was good. And I really, really enjoyed the ending. I really love that turn where it just turns into this bonkers ass, like, action flick where it's just like, they're basically, like you said, Teletubbies, but they're also like Power Rangers in this case. So they're just like, they go fucking nuts and start killing these things.
And it opens us up to see another part of this world that's there, which is something I think is interesting too, right? I mean, we've got like mainland England and there's other stuff going on, right? But these people are so closed off, right? That they're not going to find anything else. There's no sort of real urge for exploration and connection, right? But it's just, more isolation. So, I mean, this shows us that like, okay, what is the rest of this world now like?
But in Bone Temple, when we see the rage zombies have their own podcast, then I'm out. I'm turning it off.
Yeah. I'll feel a little too seen at that point. Kind of one last thing to talk about with this is that I think, so this film was shot primarily on iPhones, iPhone 15 Pro Max, of course, with different rigs and lenses, built onto them. But they used action cameras and drones. But I think Boyle's really good at this kind of innovation. I mean, just look at what he did with 28 Days Later, where it was meant to look like that, right?
Sure, right.
Shooting on like digital video and everything else. But that kind of use of technology, like low or high, right, to create, his own sort of different trademark visual language. I think it was a really kind of like cool way to sort of wow us as we're watching it, right? We get to see these sort of like head shots and head kills, almost like, from the back as the arrow goes through somebody's eyeball.
Right.
I thought that was really cool. I guess I might have gotten a little tired of it, bits and pieces, but I think overall Boyle does a nice job with that kind of innovation.
I think it's cool. I'm also a little questioning, like, why though? Like, what's the...
Because he can.
Right. And it's okay. So that's fine. Like, I mean, I get it. And maybe it's an encouragement to other filmmakers. And I get that as well. To like, not, you have something at your, in your hand that can do something like this. That being said, there's still one, talent involved behind it, and then two, hordes and hordes of other people involved.
Oh, yeah.
Years and years and years of experience. Not only that, but also editing software and all of these things. So I get it, but at this point in Boyle's career, it almost feels like a gimmick that I don't necessarily need. Sure.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, it's one thing for Sean Baker, I guess, to do Tangerine that way. And to see like, hey, let me knock off an independent film that is, character driven and tell people what they can do, that the barrier to entry is just talent. It's not money anymore. I don't necessarily know that a hugely budgeted film, look, I get that you can, but at a certain point, why do you bother?
So let me ask this question then. So if he wants, as he's sort of thinking about this film, as he's storyboarding this film, or however he does that, and if he's like, I want to do this kind of shot, how do we do that? And the answer is, well, we buy 10 iPhones, set them up this way, right, and shoot at frame rates of whatever to then create a file to then go edit. I mean, can you do that same thing with, say, an RE35, right, or an
right.
Flex camera? I mean, so I guess I wonder if what he's doing is like, okay, what's the technology that matches my vision? Okay, it's this. So it's not necessarily like, hey kids, look what you can do, right? But it's, I know how to use this in a way that you don't to do this.
Right. But it also becomes a marketing ploy to a certain extent.
Well,
and I think that's where I have the problem with it.
Look, and I have an iPhone too, Apple, if you want to, no, right. I mean, but no, I do. And I think you're right. Like in a cynical way, it also creates buzz around the film. Like, oh, he did this with iPhones. Let's go see. But I think, yeah. Anyway,
I mean, I also make all my telephone calls on an iPhone 15 Max. You don't see me fucking bragging about it.
That's amazing.
Right.
That's
amazing. I could still make them on a landline, but I don't, because you know why? But
your use of technology to do something so simple is so impressive, Jason.
It really truly is. It really, really is. Way to go, Danny.
Yeah, good job, Danny. Okay. Let's move on to something else simple, and let's move on to our installation of the Dangerous Banger game with 1997's Good Will Hunting.
On the campus of one of America's leading universities.
There is a problem on the main hallway chalkboard. It took my colleagues and I more than 2 years to prove it. I'm hoping that one of you might prove it by the end of the semester.
The most gifted mind to ever enter its classrooms.
This is correct. Who did this?
Is the person who cleans its floors.
I just need the name of this guy who works in my building.
Got this job through his PO, you can call him.
PO?
Parole officer.
Meet Will Hunting.
I've been looking over this rap sheet of yours. Assault, theft, resisting.
I've spoken to the judge, and he's agreed to release you under my supervision. Really? You have to meet with a therapist every week.
That's pretty good.
For the first time in his life, he's about to meet his match.
How many shrinks you go to before me?
5. This boy's genius is unparalleled. I need someone who can get through to him.
Yeah, let's do it. I'm pumped. Let's let the healing begin. I went on a date last week. Going out again? I don't know. This girl's like, beautiful. She's smart. She's fun. She's like perfect right now. I don't want to ruin that. Maybe you're perfect right now. Maybe you don't want to ruin that. Have you talked to him at all about his future? Give him time to figure out what he wants.
This boy has that gift. Can you imagine if Einstein would have given that up just to get drunk with his buddies every night?
Some people can never believe in themselves.
I can't learn anything from you unless you want to talk about you.
Until someone believes in them.
You can do anything you want. You are bound by nothing.
And you're sitting on a winning lottery ticket. I'd do anything to have what you got.
And some never know how much they can have.
I love you.
Until they discover how much they can give. Academy Award winner Robin Williams, Matt Damon, Ben Affleck, Stellan Skarsgård, and Minnie Driver. Good Will Hunting.
Nominated
nominated for 9 Academy Awards.
A therapist counsels Will Hunting, a janitor with a genius IQ. That's the plot. That's the log line. All right, good talk. Okay. No, seriously. So I hadn't rewatched this in I don't know how long. I mean, years. And I hate it. I really don't like it. Everything about this film for me just like rings false. I mean, blame it on like the writing, the directing, everything just seems so. And look, there are so many like nitpicks that I have with this film, and that's not necessarily why I hate it, right? But like, look, no one is going to a lecture class and applauding the professor after they're done. For one thing, okay, I just want to say that like he is
just because it doesn't happen to you.
No. I know. That's what I mean. That's why I mean. Like it's I know it's like such a nitpick, but I'm just like, what is this? Like, look, I know this is not like reality. That's fine, but the characterization, it's almost like these characters are what people who have never met these characters think these characters are like. I just find them to be such like caricatures rather than actual people. So, and I don't really think that Matt Damon's good in this. I know that that's like an unpopular opinion. I think Ben Affleck is great in this, but and I like Minnie Driver in this. For me, like that was one of the reasons to keep watching the film, even though, like most female characters in this type of role, she isn't given a lot to do and is sort of made to fit in this kind of like manic pixie dream girl sort of mold. And also, I just want to get this off my chest. Why in the world does she like this guy? Like,
There's no reason for that at all.
Right. Like, what are his characteristics, positive or otherwise, other than being a math genius? Like, what is he? And like, why would she like this guy? He's also, he is one tiny step removed from the ponytail bro he belittles in the bar. And I know that's partly the point, right? As like Robin Williams says later, but I mean, like, we need to acknowledge this more in this fucking film. So, okay.
Yes. I will say, I don't know if I hate it, but I do think it is wildly overrated. And I think what it does, I think Williams and Driver and Elliott Smith are doing all of the heavy lifting, right? Yeah. This is, okay, so my one thought when I was watching this again was I was like, okay, this is Garden State, right? This is a movie with a fucking killer soundtrack that we all really love, and that the movie kind of sucks when you look too far into the curtain. And I wanted us to do this conversation in Boston accents as we were doing this, but then that'd be kind of like our Jimmy Stewart accent. And I just was like, maybe we shouldn't do that.
No. No, that's going to be tough. Yeah. At least Garden State has like whimsy and is like, I don't know, but yeah.
Right. This wins in an era of, and I know this is the era always, right? And again, no shade to Damon Affleck, I think, because they've done good work since then. And I think Damon, I don't think he's good in this. I think he's been good in a lot of other things.
Yes.
And I do think Affleck and both Afflecks and Hauser are really good in this. I think they understand the assignment more than anybody else. I don't think Williams and Driver are in the same movie, really. So like, it's not
right.
But this in a year. Okay. So anyway, my point being that, this comes out in a time frame where it is obvious that the Oscars are bought and sold. Right. I mean, like, and so and I'm not gonna say that like this doesn't deserve to get nominated for best script, right? But I think the story is better than the movie of these two young kids writing this movie for themselves. Blah, blah, blah. You've got this prestige director, kind of art house director for this. And it's, it came out also in the time where all of the movies like this are being overhyped and they're all kind of the same, right? This idea of like, we're talking about some great white person, white man who has this like underlying greatness that the world is kind of suppressing, or he's suppressing himself and just needs the right amount of support to let it breathe, right? Because you see this in American Beauty, and there's a ton of other ones. I mean, there's that all come out in the same kind of time frame.
You just need to pull yourself up by your bootstraps, right? You don't really need
right.
You don't really need education. You're already smart enough. I mean,
so yeah, let's get to that in just a second. But my point being is that like LA Confidential is a way better movie than this. It's the same year.
Yes.
It obviously that should be the movie that everyone's talking about. I don't think really does anybody talking about Good Will Hunting other than just going to have an afterthought at this point. I don't think people really go back to Good Will Hunting and go like, oh, this is my favorite movie of all time.
I think it's like a generation thing. I think that younger generations discover this movie and think it's great, right? At a certain age. So like this came out and I was like 18. Wait. Yeah, like 18.
I was in college,
right, Right. And so, I think it's easy at sort of those ages to be a little more wowed by this film. Or a little more kind of like, kind
you
of
want to be,
exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
You want it speaks to that sort of adolescent. Oh, like if someone would just recognize the greatness in me, some great girl who is amazing and loves me regardless of all my bullshittery.
Right.
Then that's all I need to really truly find myself in this world. Yeah, the movie on its face has like if you just look at Will, I mean, he sucks.
Yeah.
He's a shit character. And this idea of like that genius is just genius. It is such a fucking terrible construct, but this idea that you don't have to work at it. And also it's weird because like he does work on it. And I know that a lot of what he does in the movie is he's trying to hurt people so that he doesn't get hurt himself. I get that. There's all this kind of like dime store psychology that they have involved in this, but also that this idea of like, I look at this and, it comes easy to me. I look at a piano, like Mozart looks at a piano and like, it's not,
Mozart, Beethoven.
Right. Mozart. I don't see nothing but keys and a bench and whatever.
And 3 pedals.
Like Mozart and Beethoven didn't work at yes, they had talent. They did, but they didn't work at what they did.
Nonstop, like compulsively.
But yeah, I mean, he sucks. And like, it's not just because this isn't like he doesn't treat his friends the same way he treats everyone else. Right. And I know that that's part of like, but these guys don't deserve being treated better than Skylar or Robin Williams or even Skarsgård at this point. Right. I mean, the whole fucking premise, and it's just so fucking like we should have laughed the movie out of the theaters.
Really?
It really like it's one of those ones like, I know it had a lot of history around it. Like at one point they, Michael Mann was attached to it.
Yeah.
And like, and Rob Reiner looked at it and like William Golden, like looked at it when Rob Reiner was attached and like, they talked about, it's also like the people they talked about being like Leonardo DiCaprio and Brad Pitt taking over those roles. Of course, I mean, I think that was just somebody just throwing out names at a certain point. But I do think that this probably becomes too precious a lot of the times because those guys wrote this, right? I think this feels like a Merchant Ivory Kevin Smith film.
Mm-hmm.
Like it feels like I mean, like early Kevin Smith, right? I mean, this feels like, and I know Smith and Mosier are executive producers because those guys had worked with those guys before, and helped get it to Miramax. But like, it just feels amateurish in the same way that when we go back and look at something like Chasing Amy, which I still love, but like still like a lot of the dialogue and a lot of the premise of that film.
When the pseudo-intellectualism.
Another Right. Another white guy who is just looking for someone to save him from himself because he's got all this potential inside of him. Yeah, I think looking at this from a lens at, 30 years later, this movie really does not hold up at all. I think Williams's performance is good, but I also don't think that a lot of what he brings to the table, I think what he's given is all that great either. No. I think this idea of like a lot of his dialogue is bullshit.
Yeah.
I mean, this, and how he connects with Will. Like if Will is this genius who's also able to emotionally manipulate
everyone,
everyone, literally everyone, the fact that because someone's from Southie is also able to get through to him, it's not, and also not connecting to him on a Southie level. He just says, you never fucked a girl, so you don't know anything about love. Like, I mean, like,
no, right.
And then all of those like lines of like, there's at no point would Damon try to impress Williams's character by saying, "Oh, I've gotten laid before." Like, I know he's 20. It's not something a 20-year-old would have fucking said. Someone who has so much confidence that he can go up to someone who's graduated Harvard and now is in graduate school in Harvard, and then just and lay waste to him intellectually, that he would ever have a problem with, his sexual escapades to somebody who's trying to get inside of his skull.
Yeah.
And all of it, like it was, and that's the problem I think with the script. It's written by guys who also are young and also want to be these characters, and they don't have the experiences that I think there's what's on the page is a wild disdain for their own white privilege, but they have no idea how to handle it. Right. They're those guys of like, oh, they're from Boston, but they're upper class kids who did go to Harvard.
Right.
But they're trying to play it both ways, right? Which is that whole like line from The Departed, where you're dropping your R's on the weekend and like, when you're back with your mom, not to quote Mark Wahlberg on our podcast, but,
Please don't.
But it's these guys who are Harvard educated elitists who also have guilt because they're Harvard educated elitists and then want to lift up and again, I don't necessarily know their background 100%, but I don't think any of them came from the hard scrabble streets of Boston.
Not like their characters, at least, right?
Right.
Yeah, this is not an autobiography.
The movie focuses on all the wrong things, and all the good stuff that it has in it just plays lip service to, and doesn't, I don't know how you would have saved this, to be quite honest. Like, I mean, like, there's something there about like a guy who is manipulative because his entire, and so getting to the undercurrent of, hey, you were abused, I was abused, this is why you act the way that you do, right? I mean, there's a little bit of that, but it's not nearly enough. And by the time that it comes, and here's the other thing about this fucking movie, is that it's so fucking long. I mean, like, by the time that you get to anything, it's an hour and 30 into the film. Like, and there's so many things that are like Smith-esque horseshit that plays okay in a Smith comedy, but does not play here. Like, the fight sucks. The scene where Affleck goes to Holden and McNeil, the business to go
retainer.
Right. That doesn't play either. Like, why the fuck are you taking focus off of Will or Sean? Right. I mean, like, this idea of like him coming up with these three guys and kind of finally finding a family, his, like, the whole idea of him being a genius really is the most pointless shit. And it's what this, and again, the whole, in a world where an MIT janitor can solve your fucking problems. Like, there's also like, there's reason to hate Skarsgård. Like, there's stuff that's on the page that I don't know if like, I don't know in the script if it was, but like Skarsgård's like Lotharioism, like, and I don't know if that's actually a word, but like being a Lothario with like his female students.
Yeah.
Like, like why didn't Will pick up on that?
Right.
And why didn't Will like shit on him in that case? Like there's a reason that we it's not just because Skarsgård's a pompous ass that he also becomes like, he also is no longer king shit in this math world because Will is here. I don't know, like the heroes really should have been Skylar, and you needed to give her way more to do, and Robin Williams' character here. But like in a better movie, like I know that at the end of it, both of these guys realize they've learned something, right? It's time to throw his chips back in, but none of that is earned.
No,
it's all done. It's all done with just individual scenes, but there's no real growth. And that's the problem with this script, right? Is that it is built upon these scenes that Affleck and Damon probably had in their head, and that they built a movie around. The scene where Affleck and Damon are talking outside of you're sitting on a winning lottery ticket. That scene. It's not your fault, Will.
Right.
And a couple of others, and that's basically it. And then, like I said, at the end of the day, like Williams' journey, like there's nothing that Will gives back to Sean. It's not like he gets him back to his roots. So there's no reason for like Sean to, at the end of the day, go on a 6-month trip. We don't even really know what the fuck he's doing, right? I mean, it's just like he's like, I'm gonna throw my rip. It's like he talks like he's gonna go to like some like Club Med resort and go get laid again, because his farting wife is dead.
Right.
And
right. I mean, I understand that he needs to move past the grief, or as much as one can, but again, like I don't.
Those two things don't match
that's
up,
what
right?
I mean, right? They don't. And
like,
I mean,
Williams's grief and the abuse, because he also talks about how he faced abuse.
Right.
Williams's grief and Damon's abuse don't match up.
Right.
They're not two things that are overcome at the same time. And so what the fuck are we doing here?
Yeah. The one thing the one thing I think that I like about this film, or that it's trying to get to, is this idea of like figuring out what you want, but also sort of eschewing the thing that everybody wants you to do or thinks you should do. Right. So in this case, right, it's you need to go take this big money job, right? Or work for these people, work for that people, where it all is about like, maximizing what people see as one, your profitability, but also your perceived talent. Right. And, so I can kind of dig the ending where he's just like, I'm not going to go do that. Right. In a different story, everyone would go and become, right, the next, math Nobel laureate, right? But he's not going to do that. So, there is something to be said for kind of, going against the sort of capitalism grain and doing something that you truly care about, right? And in this case, I guess it's just like living off of your like doctor girlfriend at this point, right? But I mean,
right,
and so
right.
I think, and that matches up with the story of the World Series ticket. I mean, so in terms of like, Chekhov's gun coming back, there's at least that, which is maybe the one sort of like constructive or like, positive note I have about the structure of this story, but that's kind of it.
In a better movie, Will is not a pompous dick from the jump.
But also,
right.
So this is what I wanted to ask, like what are his characteristics, Jason?
Yeah, he's smart.
That's it,
basically
right?
it.
Okay. Yeah, that's it. And but he's smart and he's a dickhead. So of course we all love him. Like,
right? He's not that much of a good friend, right? No. I mean, he gets his friends.
His friends are better to him than he is to them.
The whole idea of like, again, how all of it plays out is so simplistic. They are driving around and they get into a fight. He gets thrown into prison. Like there's no reason for them so they just jump in the fight because Will wants them to jump into a fight. They hint at it, about him, why is he a janitor at MIT? Yeah, I mean, there should be a desire there, right? I don't necessarily think this movie should be fucking Rudy, but it needs to be something better than this, right? Will needs to have the blockage can still exist because he is, he was abused, so he finds things to tear people apart. But like this movie, it takes its time so much that like we should have seen pieces of it happen differently, where Will gets discovered by Skarsgård. He's desperate to find someone who believes in him. But then Skarsgård, shows him his true colors with his, philandering with female students. And then the fight happens. Skarsgård gets him out and says, "Hey, I need him to be a therapist. I'm going to go find my ex-friend who is the only person who can do this." Fuck the George Plimpton shit and the which is fucking terrible.
Right.
That's the thing about this movie, like the script alone, like that no one said to cut that shit out.
Yeah.
No one said cut the shit out about George Plimpton or the hypnotist and him singing Afternoon Delight. We don't need to see a montage of him shitting on people.
Right.
Skarsgård should realize, hey, I fucked up here. I need to go to a guy that I'm also fucked up with and get those two guys together. And it could just be because, hey, he's from Southie. I got nobody else. Like, I need your help here. And then have that relationship blossom. And yeah, you can still have Skylar and the other stuff. But like, again, like you said, there's no reason for Skylar to be involved in this with this person. The first fucking thing he says to her is, hey, your idea is stupid.
Yeah.
When it inherently isn't stupid. We should go get coffee sometime. Hey, why don't we just eat a bunch of commas together?
It's just as arbitrary.
It's just as arbitrary as drinking coffee. Like, no, it's not, you fucking genius.
I know.
It's not.
I know.
It's not. It's like people go to coffee all the time. That's a thing people do because it's safe and it's public and it's cheap.
And also, what can you do while drinking coffee?
Evidently, you can. Yeah,
well,
you can talk.
You can have a conversation, right? What
you can't do that while you're eating.
There you go. You can't do that when you're eating caramels, right? You can't do that with a sticky mouth full of
And that's the thing, is that like that's the stuff in a much better script would have gotten cut out. I'm not a young Kevin Smith would have cut. That's people feeling happy with themselves, like, and proud of the lines that they put together when it is an inherently terrible line. It is awful. And then this idea of like him tearing down, an so like stereotypical like Harvard elitist is dumb too.
Yeah.
It's just like, again.
Well, I do want to say this though about that, right? Because I do think that this actually shows something about Will's character, in that this guy is picking on Ben Affleck, right? Ben Affleck is being Ben Affleck and trying to pick up these girls. And this guy's like, ooh, let me like belittle this guy. And I think in other films, we've seen this happen where then Damon's character comes in and just punches the other guy, right? And we just get into a fight. So here, we get something a little different, which again shows, Will Hunting's intellectualism or purported intellectualism, but also his loyalty to his friend, or his willingness to sort of step in and help his friend, right? Look, I don't think it's a particularly good scene, but I guess I get why it's in there.
Yeah, I just think it goes back to this idea of like, everything is easy if you just follow this particular path here. And then I'm going to discount the one institution or one of the institutions that I am, working at. I know he's working at MIT and not Harvard, but like clearly he would hold both of those in regard, right?
Right. We never hear about this guy caring about any of those. Like, don't you think there should be some grudge that he has about not being in those classes? About clearly being smart enough to be there, but not being there. But like Ponytail Guy is, right? Because he makes a good point at the end. He's like, yeah, you might be smarter than me, but you're never going to do these other things.
Right. And so the film never addresses why will doesn't even apply.
Right.
Like, because someone with his intellect, regardless of him getting, I mean, it's not like, it's not like we have, Nobel laureates just sitting around, like, not getting recognized because they are being suppressed by the world. I mean, like, this idea is on its face. I'm not saying it never happens.
Right.
I'm just saying on its face,
but
it's
not
mostly
because
stupid,
they stole
right?
a car.
Right. This guy clearly knows that he's smart.
Right.
It's not like he's some sort of idiot savant. He's not Rain Man. Right. I mean, he knows who he is. He knows he can go and read these books. He knows that he can represent himself in court. At any point, he could have applied to some place. He could have gotten a law degree or a math degree.
Yeah.
I think that people would have, like, even if he went to fucking Southie Junior College or whatever.
Right,
like, I mean, like, there's this guy would have. It makes no sense, right? And so again, like, it's just this lottery ticket mentality, right? Well, this is how things happen, and this is, there are people out there that, and it just speaks to, like, again, it just speaks to this mentality of, like, oh, all you need is for everyone to get out of your way, and by God, we'll figure out how smart you are. Yeah,
it does
and
not
like
bang.
to the point where, like, again, like you said too, like, I think Damon is too in love with this character and too in love with these words to, like, to portray it without, over portraying it. The sequence where, like, this idea of, the whole scene where it's not your fault, and then that's the kind of breaking point for all of them. I don't know. I was just like, ugh, this is fucking.
There's a lot.
It's
of
after
that.
school special.
Yeah.
It's
There's a lot of ugh in this, which is why it does in our rendition of the Dangerous Banger Game. It does not bang. Does not bang.
I think it's number 76 on IMDb's top 250, but it's also what made it, like, one of Premiere's, like, the 20 most overrated films of all time. So, like, it varies. Like, I think people who loved it when they saw it, and then haven't revisited it really. I mean, even the fucking title is fucking shit. Like, it's
I forgot how much I in my memory, I always think that this is kind of like Minnie Driver's, like, first thing, but it's not. I mean, she was in Circle of Friends before this. I mean, anyway, right? But then she was in. I forget that she was in Grosse Pointe Blank the same year.
Yeah.
Which I mean, I really like that movie, and I like her in that movie too. Anytime you go around saying popcorn and with Aykroyd in that film, but yeah, I forget. And then, but she kind of quickly disappeared, which I think is a shame. I mean, and she's done other stuff since, but, like, she never had. You feel like she probably should have had a bigger career. And maybe she didn't want it.
I feel like,
right? I don't know.
Yeah, she was in that. She was in that TV show on FX.
The Riches, or wasn't that it?
Yeah. I feel like all of the women that came out of the Miramax era, I just feel like all of them were treated horribly.
Oh, yes.
And all had shortened careers that.
Right, and I don't want to like belittle that or, like, not address that because
no. I don't think you were doing that. Yeah. It was just. I mean, I think that's a lot to do with it. I think, you talk about, like, someone like, Rose McGowan, who doesn't act anymore,
right.
And then Ashley Judd. I mean, like, they all went through such fucking terrible things that, like, I don't, it's, and again, I don't necessarily know if Minnie Driver did or did not. So I'm not trying to say that, but I just kind of, like, equate, like, this era as being particularly harsh for young actresses, and anybody trying to bail, I can completely understand.
No, I think she was treated pretty poorly by producers on this, not being quote unquote hot enough, or, and even in, like, Circle of Friends, I mean, she's made to sort of be, like, dumpy and sort of, she's like, oh, I'm so big, and she calls herself a cow, and I'm like, What? Like what? Really?
It's like Tony. It's just like Toni Collette and Muriel's wedding. Like everyone's like, these women who aren't size zeros are grotesque beasts that we should not lay our eyes on.
Yeah, she was. She was my like really the only enjoyable part of this film for me was
and she's
time
really
with
good in
her.
this. I mean, like, and I think that sequence, with her is that kind of breakup sequence with her is really good. I think I think she's great in it. And I think she's really good on the phone too. When she's basically asking him to tell her that he loves her and he won't do it, and then
okay then. Is that what he says? Yeah. Okay then. Take care. What do you? I'm curious. What happens when he shows up at her door? Right? Like, what does she say when he gets there? Just like, oh hi, nice to see you. So where are you staying? Like, do you want to go eat some fucking caramels? I mean, is that what like?
I hope she's with somebody who actually can treat her well and she's moved on.
Jesus, right?
This is like when Benjamin shows up to what is it, Berkeley and The Graduate.
Oh yeah, yeah. They're in the back of that bus forever, just going in the dark. Yeah.
All right.
Let's
get back finally to our series on Amanda Kramer.
That's right. I am very excited. We are going to talk about 2022's Please, Baby, Please.
There's a scale. A scale for belonging. I'm living based on where I stand on this fake scale. I'm in agony that I won't size up to any of you because you're all the kind of man I gotta appear to be.
Admit you have a terrible sense of humor.
Ostentatious, show-offy. I don't want this junk.
Newlyweds Suze and Arthur become the dangerous obsession of a greaser gang that awakens a sleeping quandary into the couple's sexual and gender identities. I love this film. I know that we have talked about this film a number of times. We hosted a screening of this film and got to talk about it with a group of keen viewers. But I love this thing. It's gorgeous. It's campy. I love how it's shot. I love how it's blocked. And I really dig the performances.
Yeah, and we don't know if it was filmed with 15 iPhones or not, so that's nice too.
Right. Yeah, no one had to go around telling everyone that it was filmed with iPhone 15 Pro Maxes.
This is me pushing back. Just tell me it's not my fault, Brock, and then we can get past this moment where I'm being a dick.
It's not your fault.
Don't you fucking do it.
It's not your fault.
Don't you do it.
Jason, it's not your fault.
Not you.
It's not your fault.
Let's make fun of childhood trauma some more.
I know, right? Yeah. Well, because we're such perfect pictures of mental health, right?
As I'm doing math back here
on your glass, on
my laser display. Yeah. Oh yeah. Before we go on, that fucking scene's so goddamn infuriating too.
Oh, the bathroom mirror.
Yes. Fuck you. Fuck that scene. Fuck Gus Van Sant. That's Gus Van Sant. That's his bullshit. Yeah. That scene's so like Will's so poor he didn't have fucking paper. He can't do a math equation on paper. He's got to do it on his. That's right, Marcy. He's got to do it on his mirror.
She's pissed.
So we can see his face.
She is pissed.
Oh, I hated that scene so much. It was just like this, and the scene where the kid should have gotten called out at the Little League game, and he wasn't. And they clap like he's safe.
Such a weird scene. I mean, I know that's where we see the guy that they start to fight with, but that's just a weird scene. Like these guys, why are they at a Little League game? Like, why are they there? Why are they at a Little League game drinking beer in paper bags? I mean, whatever, right? I don't care. It just seems like a weird thing, right? Like why are they there?
And how do they know those kids?
Right.
Like, how do they know which one is right. And they don't stay for the entire.
They just.
They don't stay for the entire game.
Yeah. weird. It's just fucking weird, right? And they're just like sitting there by themselves, just like, give me another beer, Danny, and like whatever. That's not what anybody said in the film, but anyway.
Yes, Amanda Kramer.
Speaking of masculinity, right? Yeah. So yeah, like I said, I really like this film. Can we just before we get into it, I want to touch a little bit on Harry Melling. It's not even a question that this is the guy who's had the best post Harry Potter career out of all of them, right?
Yeah, by far.
I mean, he's doing.
I mean, Radcliffe's done fine, but I mean,
no,
like,
and I don't mean, right, but I think he's a better actor than all of them, and I think he's doing more interesting work. So, I mean, not just films like this, but he was also in, The Old Guard, just having a great time, just really like playing it up to the rafters as the villain, right? He's coming out, he's in a new movie with the other Skarsgård. What's his name? Who's the hot one? Alexander, right? So he's in a new film with Alexander Skarsgård where he like plays.
Throw it dark, my friend.
I know. Where he's going to play like Skarsgård's submissive kind of character, and then he's in another film called Shoshana that is set, I think, in like British occupied Tel Aviv. So, I mean, he's doing like really cool, interesting things and not just kind of, I mean, like, yes, Radcliffe did fine, but I think Radcliffe mainly went to stage work. And then, kind of like quirky films that I didn't find all that interesting in their quirkiness either. So I just...
Swiss Army Man?
I think it's fine. I think it's fine. I don't know. What else have the Daniels done other than Everything Everywhere and Swiss Army Man?
I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think Everything Everywhere is great, and I thought Swiss Army Man was fine. Just and other than that, like what Guns Akimbo and like his turn in Now You See Me.
Now You See Me Too.
Yeah, which I like.
Hey, he was in the Weird Al story, which was a lot of fun.
That's great. I'm not. I don't mean to like sort of shit on Daniel Radcliffe's career. That's not what I'm trying to do. But I just think that like for my money, I think Melling is really doing some cool things. And I don't think he's the one that anyone thought was going to come out of that franchise.
They didn't think Dudley Dursley was going to be the one who popped.
Right. In like a real sort of actor's way, not just.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it does. I will say this. I did think it does speak to. I hate to give whoever the casting director. I hate to give Christopher Columbus credit, just in general.
Right.
But I mean, like but being able to pull those kids. It was impressive. Yeah. The one, however many of them did come out of it and still have careers. But yes, yeah.
Because our Pats doesn't count because he was only in the one.
Right. Sure.
So just calm down, our Pats. I know you're listening. Right. You dream. Speaking of dreamboats, yeah. Okay. Also, Andrea Riseborough in this, I think, is having a really good time. All of her movements and like little dances that she does, she choreographed herself. So they had a choreographer right on set to do a lot of other things. When the gang is dancing in the street, and when other people are kind of doing their movements, but they never work together. So everything that she does, right, she kind of came up with on her own. Like when she's doing the thing with the bottle in one of the early scenes. Like that was her, the way she moved around the apartment. That was her, the way she, danced in sort of the dream sequence, the S&M sort of dream sequence where the young gents are all sort of grinding on everything and like ironing her, like literally. Those movements were hers. I just thought that was really cool. I think Andrea Riseborough is another actress who probably doesn't get enough credit, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think like most your average film goer going into this, which they wouldn't, but they should.
Right.
Are going to walk away with going, oh yeah, I recognize that person from that thing. and then there's a few people that are in, other Amanda Kramer films that pop up in this, particularly from Lady World. And yeah, I think this movie, it's one of those ones where like, I would love to show to someone who feels like they don't understand like gender fluidity or gender confusion. And again, I may be using terminology incorrectly, and if I do so, I apologize.
We're just doing our best.
I'm just trying to find my Skylar here to like help me out and bring me up to my true mathematical genius. But I mean, like this idea of like gender roles and how we struggle, how people can struggle with them, or how we do struggle with them, and these things that like how they're presented, and sexuality and the idea of all of these ideas blended. Obviously, I think your average Mama's Family viewer would just see this as confusing and stupid and liberal claptrap. But I do think that this film shows this, and maybe I'm not giving Mama Family viewers enough credit. I'm the Stellan Skarsgård in this situation, but
you're saying you're a Lothario. That's
yes. Yes. I was going to say I was trying to sleep with my female podcast listeners, but there are none.
Yeah, I was going to say all of the
like,
women watching, that are watching these video clips are like, "Oh, is that Kermit in the background?"
And I apologize.
He's so secure. He has a Kermit doll. I wonder if he sleeps with that. Sorry.
I do actually. I would. But this movie is so fucking brilliant, and how it handles all of this, and how it presents all of this. How each one of these characters, every single one of them, even what you would consider side characters, are all going through their own things. I think Riseborough's, obviously our two main characters of Riseborough and Melling, are just fucking brilliant in a way that you just don't see it portrayed. And it's like, it's one of those things where like, we want to compare this to like Waters in a way, but I think this is doing so much more than, and not to diminish what Waters does, but I think this is doing so much more than what Waters ever even tried to do. And if you just take a look at like that, the sequence where Melling is on the phone with his dad, and he's like, I've done all these, and like, this is such not a narrative structure, right? I mean, this is a dreamlike state for the most part. And it's, we're thrown into a hyper queer, hyper realized like version of West Side Story, but all of the imagery is like also a take on all of this like masculine and ultimately feminine, imagery that is then subverted, and obviously not even really subverted, but just kind of like shown for what it actually, how it should be taken, right? Or not necessarily should be, but could be. But that sequence where Melling's on the phone with his dad, and I've done these things, I've married, and it's like, and he's kind of just screaming, and it's still not enough. And his dad's like, I don't fucking know. Like, you did the things. Like, how do you feel at this point? And he's still like confused with the this presentation of masculinity. I don't think we can do enough justice to this film to talk about it in just simple words, or in a simple 30-minute construct of a podcast, and give all of its due, because everything that it's doing is fucking Will Hunting level genius. That like layman's like us, that again, we talk, and not to like to kind of continue to go back to this, but we talk about things like, oh, this film was filmed with like 15 iPhone Pro Maxes. Like, okay, fine, but this film is deconstructing gender and sexuality in a way that I don't think I've ever seen anybody deconstruct gender and sexuality on celluloid before. Yeah. And so how about we talk about those things and this film? And again, granted, go see 28 Years Later, but this movie should open up something in you if you're a thinking person. Yeah. And especially if you're someone who thinks they have all of their shit figured out. And it's just, I think it's just fucking brilliant. It's so goddamn good. And I don't know, like, you know, and again, I understand it's almost too good. It's too, and I think the same thing about Lady World, where it's doing, you know, 40, I know we'd use this term, like this 4D chess, and like, you know, we're over here playing checkers.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I mean, yeah, I think the way that this examines all kinds of, you know, not just masculinity, right, but also this idea of femininity as well. And I think, you know, the Riseborough character, you know, starting in what looks like a traditional sort of female role, but then evolving into something else, I think is also so important to this film, right? I don't think this film works if we don't have that paired with Melling and Glusman going through their own kind of examination, right? I mean, Glusman's character as kind of a, I guess, de facto leader of the young gents, right? We see him making out in the bathroom with the bartender, right? So we kind of understand where Glusman is on this scale, at least to some extent, but he's also questioning so much about his role and his own, you know, version of masculinity. And so we get these kind of like, again, like you said, a deconstruction, but a deconstruction on different levels of different kinds of masculinity as well, which I think is great. And what is the character? He's played by Ryan. I forget their last name. You know who I'm talking about. What is his name? It's not Teddy. It's you know, he's blowing the kisses at the bar.
Yes, I know what you're talking about. Yes.
But even like that character being played by a female presenting actress, right? I think is also another like really, really incredible use of that, right? To show us what's going on in this film. That would have been a lot more eloquent.
You're talking about Dickie, right?
Dickie, thank you. Yes, talking about Dickie.
And that's the actress who's in Lady World, who is the one who has the doll, right? Yeah, it's
right.
Yeah,
right.
She's great.
So I think like that's really a really such a great use, right, of her. I'm assuming that. I mean, I don't want to. I guess I'm going to just go back to using like the they pronoun for her, just because I and I feel weird about like not knowing exactly how they identify, but again, like they seem to present as female. But you know, so again, like I think that's why, you know, that use is so great in this. Again, another examination of like masculinity, femininity, kind of in this world.
I love the idea of Arthur, who's played by Melling, our main, you know, male character, has this like, you know, this broken phallic symbol as the kind of impetus for his kind of questioning. You know, he's got a clarinet that kind of pops up now and again, and it gets thrown at the end of the movie. Gets thrown back in, and they're like, "Hey, is it fixed or is it broken?" It's like, "Yeah, it's still broken." And then Suze's who's Riseborough's character's name, when she meets Demi Moore and she's confronted with all of these like traditional feminine roles, and you know, and
appliances,
tools,
yeah,
right,
yeah.
Yes, that how she fetishizes them and imagines them. And then, but also still plays with like this idea, like they both struggle with these like these identities of trying to kind of conform to this, like, when obviously this film feels like it's set in like the 50s, you know, these gender constructs that don't feel real to them, but then are kind of leading them into this weirdly like platonic, ultimately unsatisfying marriage that they both have because neither one of them knows how to behave in a way that would be satisfactory to their partner. And Kramer does such an amazingly wonderful job of like making this like surrealist like comedy, but also like a really kind of severe and heartfelt look into these issues. And I think the genius of setting it in kind of a West Side Story and setting it back into this kind of era of, where we have this idea of this MAGA mentality that this is where we want to go back to, and the suppression of these ideas, and also the the kind of the hidden undercurrent that existed even in pop culture then. It's just it really is what Kramer's doing and how she does it, and through the actors, how they portray it is just amazing.
Yeah, I think everybody. I also think the way, like, the set design in this film is just so cool. Like the use of colors. The moment where Melling is taking out the trash and the trash bag goes from like green or gray to like pink outside is just great. I mean, there's so much that they're doing, with those sets, and then even the editing when he picks up the matchbook and he sees, Carl Glusman's sort of face, come to life on the matchbook. I mean, these things are so good. And like her other films, we get these kind of like living tableaus, right? I mean, every set is so meticulously done, right? Every scene is so meticulously staged, that it's just, I don't know, it's a real joy to look at, I think. And just what she's doing, visually.
Do you think that there's anything there in regards to the person of color kind of playing basically being the conformist, right? Or they're basically following the expected gender norms. And you were nodding your head, so maybe you thought I was going in a different place.
So
with people of color.
I was, because we've got a few different people of color in this film, which is good.
And I'm talking about
right?
Yeah, it's always good.
Well, no, because I was thinking, like, going back to Good Will Hunting, there is no diversity in that film.
That's Boston, right?
No. I mean, I know, but like,
yes, there's no diversity.
There's, like, just no diversity.
Sky, like Minnie Driver's.
She's British, so yeah, that works. No, so we have like the.
I'm talking about Joanne, basically, kind of being the one who's like Dickie's paramour, like her love interest, right?
But even she, I think, sort of defies the expectations in how like loud she is. So think about like the poetry reading or like whatever kind of like art gallery we're in, and she is so sort of off-putting and so demanding and so like rude and so kind of at that point in charge, like in that relationship too. So I think even then we're sort of playing with some of those constructs as well. I think I thought you were gonna go with the act of violence that is done to her later on in the film,
right? As well, yes. And that is, yeah. I think we brought this up when we did the screening.
Yeah, we did.
Is that the only act of violence you really see outside of the beginning, which you don't really see a lot of, is obviously the most visceral one is to the person of color at that time, which I think obviously speaks to the 50s and that, that time frame setting of what we would expect, right? Is that she's kind of an innocent that, I mean, yes, she's obnoxious, but like, I don't think that, but also she did not deserve to get stabbed in the neck with a knife.
Right. But again, I mean, I do think it's interesting too that she is so outspoken. Which, like, there is no real, like, demurring, I think, from most people in this film. Even Arthur, right? As much as he is submissive, is also not. But I don't know, because there's actually, I'm just going through the cast. There's a lot of people of color in this, and Dana Ashbrook, and Dana Ashbrook.
Yes, agreed. I guess it was more speaking of like mostly Les and Joanne and kind of Jean being those I don't know, like sometimes like the voice of like reason's the wrong word, right? But I think, along those same lines, it's not the totally wrong word. It's just not the word I'm really looking for here.
I think I gotcha. I don't think I quite understood.
But they're the ones like they're the ones like, especially Gene and Les are the ones that are like really kind of questioning Suze and Arthur about their position and their thought process. And maybe it's just coincidental, although I don't really find much in this film to be coincidental. So the reason I ask is maybe was there something that I'm is there a 2 and a 2 that I'm not putting together to get 4
so
in a certain sense?
Do you think that maybe putting those characters of color in a more position of power is kind of what she's getting at? Where maybe
calling out that, that it's maybe potentially calling out that, you guys, by all accounts, have no problems, right? I mean, like, and to that end, here's the problems that you're making up for yourselves, right? And not that gender fluidity or gender, questioning your sexuality is something that's being made up, but also these are things that you probably had the power to just not enter into this relationship that's causing you so much confusion in the first place. You didn't have to do this. If you had just been true to yourself, this wasn't a problem you had to take in.
Yeah. So it's kind of like this position of power, of having kind of gone through this societal distress their entire life, and then looking at this other couple and saying, you're just now kind of coming to this, right? Or coming to this understanding of what about this system presents you with issues, but yet, I have a deeper sense of wisdom because I've lived through this longer.
Well, and we're not afforded to have these kind of issues, right? I mean, we have other things that are more pressing to deal with than other than just, I've got daddy issues, and again, I'm not trying to downplay what these
daddy
people are going
issues?
through. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, like these societal pressures that you're facing are significantly less than what we would have had to face. So like, this is kind of humorous to us to watch you guys go through this, and then we can also kind of egg you on in regards to, hey, is your clarinet still broken? Because we've got other problems we've got to deal with, and we're subject to random acts of violence that are completely unprovoked.
Right. So at the very least, these problems are newer to Arthur and Suze, where they're not to the characters of color.
Right. Yeah. And also like, until it's, another thing, until they have to actually confront, the violence right in front of them, there really is there's no attention paid to that, their problems really at all either, or until then, I guess. Anyway, it's a good movie. It's really, really, and again, like this, we talked about, 28 years later and the idea of like, well, how are they going to pull all this metaphor together? I think this one is enjoyable even without, I don't know if it's a lot of subtext really. I mean, it's pretty much all there, but like, I think this is a really beautiful, a really fun film. And it's a wildly enjoyable one. It's not just some sort of, I think the way that we're talking about it, at least that's the way that I sound like I'm talking about it, is it's preachy and finger wagging. And it's not that at all. There's a lot of like consternation and seriousness, but I think there's a lot of joy and fun to be had in this film too. Yeah.
But I think also a lot of these ideas and a lot of these themes come through the characters and their actions and what they're going through, rather than just like, an exposition laden, like you said, preachiness, right? So these things come out kind of in an organic way, where I don't think anything is forced. And yeah, there's a lot to admire and a lot to sort of laugh with, right? Because I do think it's funny.
Yeah.
And I wanted to make sure to laugh with and not laugh at, because we're not laughing at these people, but like, these people are sort of like encouraging us to laugh with them, I think, in certain parts. So I really like that. Also, Demi Moore is amazing. I mean, like, she's so good in this.
And I know that, like, you add her to this potentially to help with funding and add a name to it. But I almost feel like, I know that don't want to just placate, but I feel like I would have liked to have had her character be a little bit a bigger presence in this.
Yeah.
And it also then it makes me feel like I know that she's gotten her props from the substance, but I wonder how much that's going to translate into additional roles, or is she going to be given kind of a late career resurgence, kind of taken off from the substance?
Yeah.
And only time will tell.
On a slightly parallel note, I'm really interested to see what Amanda Kramer does with Juliette Lewis in her latest film. Whenever we get a chance to see that, I don't know when that will be, but
I don't either. And I'm interested. Like I said, I really at this point queue up whatever she wants to do, and I'm in. Like,
yep.
I mean,
yep.
And every single one of them is going to be a mid 4 to a low 5 on IMDb because it will be confounding to at least half of the people. So yeah, it's
yeah.
But I mean, like, I think as much as we talk about people who don't get the opportunity, right, or that get only a certain, I hope Kramer is able to continue to put. I mean, obviously, I'm not saying anything that's groundbreaking, but I'm glad that there's money to be had for her, and I think that these films are important, even if they're not overly commercial,
right?
And I think that's what's so like encouraging about something like Please Baby Please, because it is so slick looking, it is so beautiful, but like going in, you knew this wasn't going to be $100 million movie, right? I mean, it wasn't going to be like, and so the fact that these films are getting funded, getting made, I mean, I'm sure again, everything's a business, right? But like, I'm glad that she's able to continue, and we're continually seeing movies, especially as they are confounding people. And I think that's important. I mean, I think there should be films like this that, obviously that we love.
That are challenging and hard to talk about.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
This film was shot in Montana, and everyone was freezing the entire time. So like apparently,
so that was her gimmick.
Yeah. Apparently it was shot in the cold. The scene where Demi Moore and Sue's like first meet, they were like, yeah, Angie Riseborough's nose was just like running the entire time. they had tried to get space heaters in there to like warm everything up. The bartender that Glussman is making out with in the bathroom, like in one of those early scenes, he just worked at a bar in town. And they were like, we like your look. Can you be in this movie? So it was kind of like everybody on the crew was also an extra in this film, which I thought was really kind of interesting. So, yeah. Shot in Montana in the freezing cold, and that's why it looks so good.
Nice.
Yeah. I don't know. Anything else to add about Please Baby Please? I don't think this is a film that we can ever sort of give justice to in our discussions.
No, I don't think so either. But it will be one that I feel good about bringing people to and continually recommending. And I think this is the one. No, it's not this one. I was going to say this isn't the DVD. This isn't the Blu-ray that has Lady World as the extra special feature.
No, that's the Paris Window. Or it's like
Paris Window, yeah, or vice versa, right? Yeah. Lady World, you can buy Lady World and get Paris Window.
Yeah, yeah. This one does have some there's I think the audio commentary on this is kind of interesting. You get to hear Amanda Kramer's baby crying in the background, much like you got to hear my dog barking in the background today. So
you and Amanda Kramer are exactly the same.
Totally the same. We're like the same people. We could be twins. My beard is a little grayer, but Amanda Kramer, if you're listening, I'm sorry you don't have a beard.
It's a weird way to end the episode, but sure.
I think it's a perfect way to end the episode, Jason. I don't know what's wrong with that. What are we going to talk about next time?
Oh, that is a good question, and I don't really know. Although I know that we'll be talking about her next film,
which is Give Me Pity.
Give Me Pity, and we have one more, and then if by whatever happenstance we're able to, we should reach out to Movie and just tell them which is probably not a bad idea, actually, to say that we can just get a screener for because that's how we roll, people, we can get screeners of things sometimes. That's how sometimes we can get things because we do this thing.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, get things necessarily, but like, I don't know. I don't know what I'm saying.
Look, what he's saying is we're big time.
But we're able to get a screener by design, and if we do, we will talk about it, and we won't spoil it. We'll just talk about stuff that. But that'll allow us to complete the Amanda Kramer experience, as it were.
Nice, yes, the Amanda Kramer experience,
as it were.
And we'll have some other films.
It's got Samantha Mathis in it too.
Yeah.
Holy shit!
I know. I'm really excited to see
this. What a cast!
Yeah, I know.
Robin Tunney.
Yep.
Clifton Collins Jr.
I am pumped for this film. Whenever we get to see it. I cannot
Cricket
wait.
Erison? I'm a big fan of hers. I don't know who she is.
I was going to say,
she's down at the bottom.
Is that like Grasshopper's sister? I don't know. That was stupid. That was a dumb joke. We should stop now before I make even worse jokes, which if you listen to this podcast, you know that I will. Next time we will talk about Kramer's Give Me Pity. We will do a couple new films as well. Maybe Eddington. We'll see what else is out there. Worth going to see, which everything is. So,
go see everything.
Yeah, go see everything. But until then, thank you all for listening.
And keep screaming. You have been listening to Why Does the Wilhelm Scream with your hosts, Brock and Jason. If you liked today's episode, do us a favor and rate, review, and subscribe in whatever application you use to consume podcasts these days. You can reach us by visiting whydoesthewilhelmscream.com. If you are in the DFW area, we would love to see you at a Fort Worth Film Club event. You can learn more about those and find a full schedule at fortworthfilmclub.com. And you can learn about my foundation and how we are trying to foster the next generation of film lovers at realhousefoundation.org. That's REEL housefoundation.org. Till next time,